Welcome to Holding Down the Fort by US VetWealth. I'm your host, Jen Amos, a Gold Star daughter, veteran spouse, and upcoming author. This season is dedicated to our seasoned spouses preparing for military transition. Together, we'll explore what happens when we stop following orders and start choosing what comes next. Because you too are retiring. And now it's your turn. Let's get started. Well, hello there. If you are familiar with the theme song of our intro that you just heard, welcome back. Welcome back. I know it's been a while, hasn't it? We'll get to that in a little bit. But yes, if you recognize that song, that is the original theme song of Holding Down the Fort. We are bringing it back. You're welcome. For our returning listeners, you are welcome. For everyone else, welcome. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Holding Down the Fort. If this is your first episode, great. Great. Not saying any of the past seasons and episodes were bad. I'm just saying, glad you're here. Let me just dive into it. It's kind of like stretching my legs for the first time in a long time, like getting off of like a 16-hour flight, and I'm just trying to move my body again. So bear with me. Hence, this is why the first episode. And let me just get it out of the way for whether you're new or you are a returning listener of the show. The number one question I have been asked is, Jen, where have you been? Where have you been? The last season of our show took place a year ago, last fall of 2024. And I'm here to answer all your questions. And if you didn't have these questions, now you do. You're like, where have you been, Jen? Like, I'm hearing you for the first time. Where have you been? Tell us. All right, I will tell you. Well, just to get you up to speed so we can really get to the heart of what this season is going to be about. Last season, something within me, call it an inner knowing, an inner calling. It just felt time to take a break from podcasting. I started podcasting back in summer 2019. And I've shared the story many, many times. But again, if it's your first time listening, it really started with this desire to understand, to get a pulse of the military community. If you listen to the intro, I am a Gold Star daughter. And my dad had served in the 80s and 90s. And then I met my husband almost a decade ago now, which is crazy to think, who is an Army veteran. So whenever the Army-Navy game happens, like, I don't know what to pick because I'm a Navy family. I come from a Navy family and then my husband's Army. So, it's a very, very strange time whenever that takes place. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I came back to the military community, but I wanted to focus on listening because working at US VetWealth, we are a life insurance brokerage that focuses on our retiring NCOs and senior officers. And we help them explore alternative solutions to military benefits, such as the Survivor Benefit Plan and TSP, and really any benefits that get brought up in the process of military transition. And so at that time, this was back in, almost a decade ago, I was coming into this space not knowing much about the industry, for one, of finance. And then secondly, having been removed from the military for almost 20 years. So the podcast began out of a desire to see where the community is today. And 6 years later, from 2019 till about 2024, fall of 2024 last year, I learned a lot. I've gone on such an incredible adventure podcasting and getting to meet so many people in the military community, for the military community. And last fall, it finally felt right to get off the hamster wheel of producing my show, to reflect on these past 6 years. And so in that process of reflection, I decided to go back to school. I want to give a shout out to Tom Antion from Internet Marketing Training Center, Virginia, imtcva.org, for his amazing trade school on digital marketing. It took me about 6 months or so to get my certification. Partly why I wanted to go there because it's a relatively quick education. And in going back to school, I was able to see more clearly why I started my podcast, which was to always understand where seasoned spouses were coming from when it came to the survivor benefit plan decision. And that led me to now becoming an upcoming author of this book, The Military Spouse Benefit Plan. So you'll be hearing more about my book soon as the season goes on because it's not finished yet. And you're probably wondering, like, Jen, why wouldn't you just finish your book and then start your podcast again? And my answer to that is, why wait to talk about my book? Because once the book is done, it's not going to market itself. So hence, I decided it just felt fitting, to come back a year later to talk about it, to talk about the journey of it. And, I never intended to be an author. My husband is already an author. The book that he is most known for, that our clients look up the most, is Don't Forget Your War Chest by Scott R. Tucker. So Scott Tucker. And so that's a very common book that our retirees download for free, by the way. It is available on Kindle, but there are ways to download it for free, which you'll find out later, that help our retirees make a confident and informed decision about the survivor benefit plan. But I never planned on being an author. It's just that this entire journey, this entire podcasting journey built me up for it, unknowingly built me up for it. And so now I'm excited to share all that with you. And I want to let you all know also, what I'm doing now. Now that I'm back as a podcaster, I'm also back in the networking scene. I have been attending a number of online networking events. I feel like because I'm trying to get my feet wet and, stretch my legs again, I figured online is a gentle way for me to get back out there in the world. So in case anyone's interested, I can't think of the organizations off the top of my head right now, but I'll give a shout out to the organizations that offer networking opportunities in the show notes of this episode, in case you're interested, in case you are looking to network in the military space. I'll have that in the show notes for you. So go ahead and check that out. Or if you don't know how to find the show notes, I know that if it's your first time listening to a podcast, just visit my website. The short link is insidethefort.com. And find this episode, especially if you're listening to this right now, at the time it's released, it'll likely be one of the first episodes on the website. And in the post of this episode, you will get information on the networking groups that I've been attending in the recent weeks. So yeah, I'm getting back out there, guys. I didn't disappear. I'm still here. I'm still around. I've just been incredibly busy. Like I said, just doing some deep reflection, doing a lot of leisurely reading, going to trade school, working on my book, and really coming back with a more clear sense of purpose and a mission that reflects who I am today and how I want to serve our military community. So let's go ahead and dive into specifics. If this is your first and hopefully not last episode, but it's okay if it is, let me go ahead and just list who the show is for this season. This show is for our esteemed seasoned spouses and their retirees. At US VetWealth, we primarily focus on our NCOs, our retiring NCOs and senior officers. So that is mainly where my husband focuses on, and my work, and especially with this upcoming book, is all about the military spouse, who too is going through military transition. And the book I'm working on is all about helping her specifically understand what is this survivor benefit plan. Everyone keeps talking about it like it's a morbid thing, which initially, yes, it comes off that way. But my hope is that in this upcoming season, you will discover that the choice of the survivor benefit plan represents more than just a death benefit, but it represents your first choice as a civilian, setting the tone for civilian life. And it starts with the survivor benefit plan. So we'll be talking about that in the upcoming episodes. And we'll discuss what the difference is between reacting to military life versus making a confident and informed decision for yourself. So that's who we'll focus on, seasoned spouses and their retirees that will be receiving a pension specifically. And I think this is also great. I've been saying this in the networking groups I've been a part of. Anyone who also focuses in this space if you focus on military transition and you are a nonprofit or you're an influencer in the space, you're in the private sector wanting to specifically serve our retirees and our seasoned spouses, this show may be for you. Like, for example, at US VetWealth, the number one people we like to collaborate with are actually other financial advisors who are looking to serve the military community and they don't know how. And so we help them. We provide education for them. We provide free education and resources for them to educate their clientele. And so for anyone that has any focus in the military transition space and you're looking to network with someone like my husband and I who are in the private sector providing these alternative resources and you want to collaborate in that kind of way, then this show is for you as well. So that's who it's for. I think I've said it enough. Seasoned spouses, retirees, in the cusp of military transition, you're starting to go down that military transition checklist. And for anyone else, especially in the private sector or working in nonprofit who revolve around this space as well, please reach out. I hope you'll take a listen to the show and hear what our company, the main sponsor of the show, US VetWealth, has to offer. But also, my own perspective on it as well, my own perspective on military transition as a Gold Star daughter, as someone who came back 20 plus years later, married to an Army vet, and my experiences having hosted the show for the last 6 years, if that's worth anything to you. So anyway, that being said, like I was hinting a little bit earlier, and again, I'll talk more about this in the upcoming episodes. So here's a hint on what to expect for our seasoned spouses and retirees and anyone involved with the military transition space, what you can expect to hear about in this season. My goal is to provide a new perspective about military transition, which is about not necessarily getting out of the military, but exercising civilian choices, which means to not just select what's in front of you, but to also explore what's not on the table. And I hope to inspire you and to reawaken you to that choice, especially for a military spouse, because, and if you are a military spouse listening to this, you know this better than everyone. You understand this better than everyone. You have lived this better than everyone, but you have balanced the different cultures of being in the military and being a civilian. Tapping into civilian resources when your service member is on deployment, right? Instead of always going to the commissary, like considering local farmers markets for healthier food options for your kids. I'm saying something that I know you already know, but I'm highlighting it and I'm encouraging you to really lean into the blessing of being able to navigate two different worlds, the military world and the civilian world, and how that is going to be key to your military transition. And we'll talk more about that in this upcoming season. And along the way, you'll hear how my upcoming book came to be and how it's actively being written. I will tell you now, in case you're wondering, I've gone through 5 or 6 different drafts of my book already because I'm very determined to articulate this perspective that even right now, I feel like I'm having a hard time saying. But I promise you, it'll sound so much better in writing. So think of it as like the love letter I've finally been able to write and read to you, the military spouse, the things I've always wanted to say that I didn't know how to say for years. And now I have that opportunity through the military spouse benefit plan, and how being able to exercise exploring your civilian options, exploring a second opinion is key to your military transition success. All right. So some final things I want to share is, in the past seasons, I've gone back and forth with being a reoccurring weekly show, bi-weekly show. And I'm going to say for this season, I'm just going to go with the flow because my focus right now is to articulate a quality message and make quality connections. And so that may or may not mean that I'll post on a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, a monthly basis. So we'll see. We will go with the flow and know that I want to be accessible to the people I had listed above if this show speaks to you in the upcoming episodes. So that being said, I may or may not be interviewing people. I may or may not be reading inserts of my upcoming book. But what I will do is talk about this unique perspective that a military spouse has that'll be the key to her and her family's success in military transition. That I will do. How that will come out this season, we're going to find out together. All right, y'all. Well, anyway, that is the quick intro to Holding Down the Fort. Oh, the last thing I want to say is, because I've been kind of talking about this, you're like, okay, Jen, I know you have this upcoming book. Like, can I get a sneak preview? Why, yes, I'm sure glad you asked. You can get a sneak preview into it. In fact, I will give you more details in the outro of this episode to learn how. I want to share that the introduction to my book is available now. And again, you'll hear about it in the outro. It is available. And if you choose to download the introduction to my upcoming book, you will also get a copy. You will also get a free ebook download of my husband's book, Don't Forget Your War Chest. So that way, while my book is still being written, if you're looking to get information about the Survivor Benefit Plan now and wanting to make that confident and informed decision now, his book is available upon the download of my introduction to the Military Spouse Benefit Plan. So, all right, that's all I have to say for now. Welcome back to our old listeners. If you've been a long-time listener, welcome back. To everyone that's new, I hope I didn't scare you off. And I hope that in listening to the show, you will gain a lot of value, especially for your military transition, because you too are retiring and it's your turn now. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for listening, and stick around for the outro. It's going to play like right now. I'm sure the intro music is playing right now. All right. Talk soon. Hey, thanks for listening. If you're seeking a second opinion on the Survivor Benefit Plan, subscribe to our podcast now at InsideTheFort.com. That's InsideTheFort.com. Once you subscribe, you will receive a free download to the introduction of my book, The Military Spouse Benefit Plan. Why? Because you've spent years holding it down for your family, and we are dedicated to helping you own what's next. See you on the inside at InsideTheFort.com, or we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.